Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the games that feature new content and or a new perspective when you play through them again after the first time. If there's a game you know of that's fresh the second time, help us keep our list fresh by sharing any we forgot in the comments down below.
I know that look. Why, that's the look of someone just incinerated by a snake stone, am I right?
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
The Legend of Zelda. The original Legend of Zelda game was revolutionary in many ways, from its overworld design to its introduction of a save file system. But another thing original Zelda pioneered was the concept of a new game plus, or second quest as is referred to here. By either completing the game or using Zelda as your save file name, very secret, you will see notable differences in your second time through. Dungeons are now in different locations with different layouts, and they'll be more difficult due to stronger enemies. Shops and heart containers are in new places as well. With just a few tweaks, Zelda's creators gave players even more adventure. BioShock. This atmospheric FPS is worth playing multiple times for many reasons. For one, it has multiple endings, based on whether you play altruistically or selfishly. Another big draw is the infamous twist, which recontextualized several moments during the story.
The results are disappointing, but within expected tolerances.
And a second playthrough will open your eyes to these scenes. Lastly, BioShock also has a new Game Plus mode, where all your weapons and upgrades carry over while difficulty is increased. You don't have to play through BioShock multiple times, but would you kindly give it a try? You never know what you might discover. The Stanley Parable.
Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time.
While a basic, simple game on the surface, the Stanley Parable has depths that cannot be reached without completing the game multiple times. As Stanley, the player makes choices that either go in line with or against the ongoing narration. Depending on your choices, you'll get different endings, and some can only be unlocked by completing the game multiple times.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending.
But you'll always restart back at the beginning. A recent deluxe edition has added even more content and endings to this fascinating title. Like the tagline goes, the end is never.
Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good.
Batman Arkham City. The Batman Arkham games are some quality superhero titles. While several of them have a new Game Plus feature, Arkham City did it first. After completing the game, players can start anew with everything they gained the first time cleaning up Gotham's enormous super prison. Enemies now attack without warning, plus they're stronger, faster, can take more punishment, and they're in new locations. Plus, you can access to fun, silly features like Big Head Mode.
Guess there really is a god.
You don't need to be the world's greatest detective to see how fun Arkham City is, no matter which playthrough you're doing.
You don't. I'll talk.
That's never in doubt.
Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. Shovel Knight has no shortage of content, with multiple DLCs and releases adding tons of content to this already fantastic retro platformer, but in Treasure Trove, the all-in-one edition, even completing the game once is enough to unearth a new challenge. New Game Plus lets players retain all their equipment and upgrades, but in compensation, you'll also take double damage. There will be few healing items and there aren't as many checkpoints this time around. While the individual campaigns have a few unique features of their own, these are generally the features you'll see in all of them, and it's hard not to dig deeper into every nook and cranny of this amazing game. Silent Hill 2.
Mary, could you really be in this town?
Survival horror games may be a dime a dozen, but Silent Hill 2 is one of the most celebrated in the genre. If players want to experience the full measure of the game's mind-bending story and grim atmosphere, they need to complete the game multiple times.
I understand now. It's time to end this nightmare.
The game's multiple endings can only be unlocked by playing through several times, with conditions ranging from interacting with certain characters more to using certain items. Speaking of items, playing a New Game Plus will also unlock some weapons, such as the Hyper Spray. Silent Hill 2 is a strange and terrifying experience, but at least it's a diverse one.
Go on with your life.
Soul Series. The Souls franchise is infamous for its difficulty, and starting a New Game Plus only adds more of a challenge for players. While there are slight differences in the New Game Plus modes between the various sub-series within the Souls franchise like Sekiro, Bloodborne, and even Elden Ring, they all have things in common. Starting a New Game Plus will let players keep all their items and levels, except things that open doors. Checkpoints are also usually maintained. The biggest difference is in the difficulty of the enemies, who are harder to kill and give greater rewards upon defeat. New Game Pluses in Souls games are especially notable for the fact that they stack. Each new playthrough is harder than the last. Hades. Repeat playthroughs are built into Hades from the beginning. As Zagreus, you will die repeatedly in your quest to defeat Hades and escape the underworld. But while every playthrough is different, you can switch things up even more after you've defeated Hades once. This will unlock the Pact of Punishment. This screen allows you to alter the difficulty of the game in various ways, usually by upping the strength of the enemies and bosses. By completing the game with these turned on, you'll receive greater rewards and you can advance certain side quests. Hades can feel hellish at the best of times, but going through these challenges feels positively heavenly.
Observe this gleaming coat of bronze with which I'm adored now, short one. Your doings, and understand.
Undertale. Undertale is one of the most celebrated indie games ever made. And aside from the great battle mechanics, amazing music, entertaining characters, and other great things about it, a major point of praise is its replayability. Depending on your choices and approach to enemy encounters, the ending and some major plot points will be different. Some variations of the endings can also only be viewed if you've already beaten the game once on a different route. There's also an optional hard mode that will increase the difficulty of enemies and change some of the dialogue. Regardless of which route you choose or how many times you play it, you're always going to have a good time with Undertale. even if you have a bad time. Nier Automata. Nier Automata instantly made waves in the gaming community with its striking character designs, engaging and varied gameplay, and masterfully told story. It's the last of these that earns it the top spot on our list. To get the complete narrative of Nier Automata, players need to complete the game at least 3 times.
That concept is a bit too abstract for me to understand at this time. I will save it in my list of things to analyze later.
And while there are around 5 primary endings, there are 26 different variations or alternate endings too. Thankfully, Nier Automata makes the experience enjoyable, even if it's pretty heartbreaking.
The final screams they summoned on the edge of death. They still echo within me.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.